Hello, my lovelies. This is Pirate Scum Gaming, and I have returned. I know it's been quite some time since I've uploaded a build video. I've missed you guys. I hope you've missed me. Truth of the matter is, I got a little burned out. It happens. I was running out of ideas, and it's just in a general brain fog. So I focused more on my builds, focused on the game, focused on my streams, helping others. And if you guys follow me on Twitch, you know that I just did a Lost Era theme night. So I thought to myself, why not do a build video focusing something from the Lost Era? And I also thought to myself, why not make it Section 31? Because Section 31 they're like the spookiest of spooks. They're the guys that do the dirty deeds. So I began looking at my ship roster, and I come across the Walker. The legendary Walker, actually. I said, okay, well, let's take a look at that, see what we can do with it. And lo and behold, to my great pleasure and surprise, this has a TMP skin, the Georgiou class. This made me very happy. I took a look at the bridge officer seating, the overall layout of the ship, and I said to myself, ooh, I could do something pretty nasty with this. So I gave it the X2 treatment, armed it up, did a few patrols, and I was very happy with the end result. And you'll see one of those patrols later on. So let's talk about a little bit of the lore about this ship first. As we all know, Section 31 likes to appropriate ships for their own devious devices. So one of their scouts was out patrolling, out by the Battle of the Binary Stars, and they come across the Tupolev here. Reasonably intact, structural integrity relatively holding. So they towed it back to their private little starbase and their shipyard, cleaned it up, modernized it, and put their particular touch on it. And they decided to, hey, we have this great idea. Let's use this ship as a testbed for our prototype weaponry. Because who doesn't like to have a ship that they can test their prototype weaponry on? It's the most Starfleet thing. Especially even Section 31 testing all their devious little toys. And let's talk about her captain real quick. The captain of this ship is Mir Valdemar Ramius. He came over from the Terran Empire. He got sick and tired of the crap going on there, the constant power struggle. And of course, Section 31 was more than happy to put him to work. So what they did, they sent him to the past, because Section 31, who knows what they have. Time travel, they got Daniels on a string, who knows. So they sent him to the time of the Lost Era and had him work with their Section 31. This is just my headcanon, folks. Like I said, this is just a theme build. So that's what we're talking. That's what we're looking at here. Let's go ahead and jump right into the build so I can show you exactly what I did. Okay, first up we have 3 of the covert phaser dual beam banks. Prototype weaponry for the time. They look and sound like the TOS weaponry. And like I said, Section 31 has all kinds of toys and things they don't tell people about. They're constantly developing new things to dispatch the enemy with. So, on to the build it went. Next we have the Terran Task Force Beam Array from the Terran Rep. And like I just said, the captain of the ship, Mir Ramius, he's a former Terran. So he brought this technology with him. So hey, guess what? It went on the build. Next, we have the Dark Matter Quantum Torpedo from the Discovery reputation. Again, Section 31's been around a while. They were around during that time period. So it makes sense that they have this torpedo from there. They added tucked away in their little black archive, so they decided to bring it out and play with it again. So, on the build it went. Space Core is pretty similar. For any energy weapon build, we have the Elite Fleet Intervention Protomatter Deflector. We have the prevailing innervated impulse engines, because I like to go fast when I kill things. Mycelial Harmonic Matter Antimatter Core from the Discovery reputation. Old Discovery tech, they still had the plans for it, so hey, why not use it? Same thing for the Tilly Review Pending Modified Shield. At Section 31, they don't tell us what they have. They could have had the plans for this tucked away somewhere, and they decided, hey, let's bring this out and play with it. So on the build it went. Next, the Omnidirectional Covert Phaser. Again, Covert Phaser, yeah, it makes sense. We have a Pulse Phaser Beam Array because during the Lost Era, Starfleet was beginning to phase out the Pulse Phasers for your standard phasers. So I thought this would be a fitting thing to put on here. And speaking of your standard phaser, we have the Trilithium Enhanced Omni. This looks like a standard phaser. And Starfleet's starting to use these things. So why wouldn't Section 31 want to use it, but put their own spicy little twist on it? Next up we have Isomags, because these are just best in slot. These are too good not to use. The Awani, we have the Awani console, the Fleet Power Network Array, just to make the beam shoot faster and just spread damage all over the place. Next, the Dynamic Power Redistributor, the DPRM from the Atlas Dreadnought. Why wouldn't they have this? The Atlas was from the TOS era. They could have had this thing sitting around in a warehouse somewhere and decided, hey, let's pull this thing out and play with it. So that's why I'm using it. Next is the Bioneuron Fusion Circuits, because this is a meta console and I don't like to run ships without it. Next, Adaptive Emergency Systems. Some bonus damage resistance and 30% bonus damage. It makes sense for a Section 31 ship. Yeah, you have this ship, enemy doesn't think very much of it. Oh, guess what? This thing's a tough customer to take down. Next, Immolating Phaser Lance. Who knows? Section 31 could have had this thing in development before they started using it during the Picard era. We really don't know. Section 31 doesn't like to tell us what they're building, or what they have in their archive. So I thought, I'm going to put it on here. Why not? Next, the Shield Absorptive Frequency Generator. This is a decent heal. That's why I'm using it. This has saved my bacon more than once. And last but not least, we have the Experimental Power Redirection. This comes off of the Excelsior 2. This thing it's phaser overload at will. Nasty little surprise. You're starting to get surrounded. I think, oh, we got this we're going to take down this little Section 31 ship. Well, surprise, she's armed to the teeth. Let's take a look at skills. The skills have not changed. It's the same ones I've been running for many, many years now. They still work out just fine. Specializations, Intel Temporal. Makes sense considering it's a Section 31 ship and our captain's temporal. Traits. Alright, we have a Good Day to Die, which turns Go Down Fighting into a reusable buff. Intel Agent Attaché. On Critical Strike, and this does crit quite often. Restore 2% of Captain Ability Recharge. Inspirational Leader. This applies plus 10 to most Starship skills. Symbiotic Ice. Beam weapon damage and adds additional cold damage. Very good on an energy weapon build. Next, Terran Targeting Systems. Kind of self-explanatory, really. And this slow that they're talking about, I really don't notice it. Adaptive Offense. Pretty self-explanatory again. This is a very good trait to use on all kinds of builds. Next, unconventional systems for the Universal Console cooldown. Very important. This is a meta personal trait. You should be using this. If you're not, you're doing it wrong. Next, fragment of AI tech. As we all know, Section 31 dabbled in AI tech, did it not? We saw that in Discovery. So it made perfect sense for it to be on here. Next, self-modulating fire for shield takedown. And last but not least, the Boimler effect. Again, too good not to use. Starship traits. We have Universal Designs from the Crossfield Refit. Grip buffs from Universal Consoles. And this works very, very well with the Immolating Phaser Lance. This helps keep Universal Designs up pretty much the entire run. Thunder Run. Little extra oomph when using fire at will. Ship of the Line from the legendary Avenger. On use of emergency power abilities, 20% crit severity. This is a meta trait. I don't know many that don't use it on their energy weapon builds. Oh, and this is from the Connie 3. I forgot to mention that. Next up is the Entwined Tactical Matrices off of the Gargarin, or the Coog. When this helps keep fire at will and torpedo spread up. This is the fog extension trait we have. No, it is not perfect, but it's what we have. Fog is the only firing ability right now that doesn't have its own extension trait. A proper extension trait. And now hopefully that's going to change maybe in the near future. Hopefully. Knock on wood. It would be nice. Next is Emergency Weapon Cycle. This comes off of the Arbiter. Minus 50% weapon power cost and 20% firing cycle haste. On use of emergency powered weapons. Next is Calm Before the Storm. I believe this is off the Gamor flight deck carrier or flight deck cruiser. After you get 10 stacks of Calm, you will get stacks of Storm. Now the stacks of Calm build up quite quickly, so that Storm activates relatively early in combat and it stays with you. And last but not least, this is something that I wanted to put on here. This is something out of my own twisted little imagination. Attack Pattern Delta. Crit chance and crit severity for each hit, and it stacks up to 10 times. I thought this would be kind of interesting to run and test out, and it works quite well. I'm very happy with its performance. Space Reputation, we have Energy Refrequencer, which is a nice heal. Advanced Targeting Systems for the crit severity. Magnified Firepower for the extra weapon damage. Tyler's Duality for the crit chance and based off hull capacity. And Precision for the crit chance. Let's go ahead and take a look at Bridge Officer Stations. Alright, first up we have Dillal, one of my science officers. We have hazard emitters for the heal, and jam targeting sensors, which is a placate. A very Section 31 thing to do. Next we have Sizamak, my tactical officer. Fire at will, because that's the build. Attack Pattern Delta for the Attack Pattern Delta Prime. And Torpedo Spread to get around that Dark Matter Dissolution. Next, we have Rusek, my engineer. We have Structural Integrity Collapse. It's a nice debuff. Emergency Powered Weapons, Prox Emergency Weapon Cycle. Overwhelm Emitters. Nice shield heal. A very nice shield heal. And Call Emergency Artillery. It's a great trick for Section 31 to call in some extra ships to decimate the enemy. My other engineer, Kaleth. We have emergency powered engines. And I emit Unstable Warp Bubble. This is one of two engineering uncon procs This one is the better of the two. It is a mission drop from Broken Circle, and it works quite well. Next we have Tractor Beam and Scramble Sensors on Argala here. Both of these are considered uncon procs, so we have 4 uncon procs on this build, which works out. It works out just fine. Scramble Sensors is a confuse. Makes the enemy shoot at one another. Again, Section 31 dirty trick. And Tractor Beam holds the enemy still while you off them. I like that. Alright, let's take a look at some duty officers, shall we? Okay, first up we have the Emergency Con hologram available to you in the Phoenix store. This recharges emergency evasive maneuvers when using emergency power 2 engines. And as you see, I have emergency powered engines on my spam bar here to guarantee that evasive maneuver is up when I want it to be. Next up we have 23 of 47. On use of tactical abilities, 15% chance to improve team-wide max haul. Hey, why not help my team out, right? And on use of command abilities, 30% chance to improve crit chance by 2.5% for 30 seconds. I'm using it more for that than for that. Next. We have 24 of 47. This helps buff my power levels. We have Toy Geek here. My energy weapon officer. Chance for stacking crit chance buff on firing energy weapons. Not the best, but it works. Next we have old 38 of 47 here. This guy on use of tactical abilities, 15% chance to reduce command bridge officer ability cooldowns by half, and vice versa for command. Very, very nice to have for command ships. And last we have Reynaldo here. He's a nurse. He who nurses my ship back to shape. Increases hull regeneration. Adds an extra 20%. Okay, that pretty much does it for the overall build. Let's get a quick look at her. This is an absolutely gorgeous ship. It's a lot of fun to fly. And in my opinion, it's underrated. I may end up putting a torpedo build on here. I haven't decided yet. But yeah, this is a gorgeous looking ship. The model is beautiful. I absolutely love it. She looks gorgeous with the Section 31 vanity shield on it. So now we get to see this gorgeous ship in action. So next up is the patrol I ran. And afterwards, I'll have some closing thoughts for this. So, I'll see ya on the flip side. Welcome back from that patrol. Like I said, this ship does not mess around. This ship performed very well, as you saw. I am extremely pleased with how it turned out. And I will probably be giving this thing a little bit more spit and polish and taking it into some advanced content. Maybe an ISC or two just to see exactly what she can do. And I'm probably going to put a torpedo build on it because, hey, why not? It's got command seating, the right kind of command seating, and just the right amount of tactical seating for that to work. So you'll be watching, I may be doing a torp build on this. But anyway, some final thoughts. At first I had my doubts. I didn't know exactly what I was getting into with this build. But the more I messed with it, the more I honed it, the more I flew in patrols and found just the right mix of things, the more I fell in love with it. Would I recommend this ship? Absolutely. This is a great legendary ship to fly. It's a lot of fun. It's got just the right amount of seating. And it performs well. So if you guys decide to get this ship or have this ship and you fly it, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to know what your experiences are with this ship. What I would rate this ship, I would probably rate this ship an 8 out of 10. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please be keeping a wary eye out for more content. I'll be having more of these build videos coming up in the near future. And also check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/pirate_scum_gaming. I'll leave a link in the description. Stop on by as you stream Thursday nights. Stop by, say hello, hang out, do some TFOs with me. I'd appreciate that. I don't bite often. I just like to have a lot of fun. So that being said, this has been Pirate Scum Gaming. And as always, don't go by the book. Think like a pirate. I will catch you next time. Later.
Human. Play, Demigod. Human.